teach you a chant that was on the PCS picket line yesterday. PCS, yes, yes, yes. PCS, yes, yes, yes. PCS, yes, yes, yes. That's important because we all love a nurse, we all like the teachers and the firefighters, but the government and the media have always attacked the civil servants. The civil servants kept this country going during the pandemic alongside everybody else. They are part of the working class, they are part of the fight back, they got to win. I mentioned earlier that the government has got into the gutter and is not just scapegoating refugees, but is now actively spreading racist lies and propaganda and provoking a backlash amongst large numbers of people who are being fed the lie and think that the racism is a solution. Our next speaker is Rossana Leal. She's the CEO of Hastings, Wealdon and Refugee Buddy Project, who have been working for ages on supporting refugees in this area, working with the other groups in support of the refugees, an absolutely central part of our struggle for peace, justice and working class rights in this country. So Rossana.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Simon. And thank you indeed for inviting me here today to speak about the work of the Refugee Buddy Project. The Refugee Buddy Project opened up in 2017 as a community group welcoming people seeking refuge in the Hastings, Rother and Wealdon areas. Now we are a refugee and migrant-led charity supporting families and individuals from refugee backgrounds with our buddy program, advocacy, financial and emotional support. I set up the Refugee Buddy Project because I wanted to replicate the warm welcome my family had received when we came to the UK seeking refuge in the late 70s from Chile. We were escaping the Pinochet regime. And I know some of you here have already heard me speak about this, but I wanted to repeat it, particularly because Jeremy Corbyn is here today, who was one of the people who made up the welcome the committees that brought people over and helped the Chileans when we arrived 6 years ago. As far as I know, Jeremy Corbyn is known as El Jeremy, the Chilean people's prime minister. So at the time when we arrived in the late 70s, a whole load of trade unions had come together, progressive organisations, and they got together and they welcomed us and they gave us a home, and we would arrive at a refugee hotel managed by volunteers, and then we were adopted. My family was adopted by the Scottish mining community, and we were given a home in Cowdenbeath, hence my Scottish accent for anyone who's interested. So today, we stand in solidarity with people seeking refuge and those who resist the hostile policies of this government towards migrants and people seeking refuge. When we started in 2017, we were welcoming the Syrian community arriving through the Vulnerable Persons Resettlement Programme. We then started supporting the Afghan people, some of who came here through the Afghan Resettlement Programme. Lately, the Homes for the Ukraine, where we've been helping the Ukrainians who are settling here, who have come here lately, all over Rother and Wealdon mainly. And very lately, as of November, we have been supporting the men who were put into a Home Office spot hotel on one of the hotels on the seafront. Now this is what I want to spend a little more time talking, because what we witnessed here has been horrific and a violation of human rights. And this is where it's important that people really begin to understand what the hostile environment is and what it's actually doing to people. When we went to see the men at the hotel, we found many of them had no shoes, they were in flip-flops, they were hungry, they had no warm clothes, They had a series of untreated skin conditions, wounds and unaddressed concerns. The Home Office contracted catering service had not delivered food the night before and had not delivered breakfast or lunch when we left that first day at 12 p.m. On carrying out individual needs assessments, my team established that many of the men had been at the Manston Processing Centre. They had been made to sleep on floors in tents for over 20 days. Lights were on 24 hours a day. Complaints were met with punishment, withdrawal of food. No medical treatment for the conditions we saw on their arrival. Completely disorientated, asking us to tell them where they were. And the list is endless, but it doesn't get better when they get here. Our local hotel, where the men were forced into overcrowded rooms, sharing rooms with strangers, no access to fresh drinking water. They are told to drink from the sink in their rooms, which is also where being used to wash their clothes because there's no laundry service for them. And as someone who experienced and escaped fashion, I was 9 years old when I left Chile. So I was able to actually witness quite a lot before I left. I never thought I would see or hear people being treated in this way in the UK. The community welcome in Hastings, though, has been amazing. The response has been huge to welcome the men and to help and to try and make them feel that they are welcome. Community kitchens are feeding the men, if not allowing them to cook for themselves using these kitchens. I want to particularly highlight the amazing local NHS staff who treated all the men with so much compassion as they heard about and treated their ailments. So on International Workers' Day, we celebrate the struggles for social change and call on you to join our Community Not Camps campaign, which opposes placing people in hotels and in particular the government's proposed plans to build a camp in Northland just outside Bexhill. We already know from experience of Manston, of Napier, of Penally, all decamped after abuse and mismanagement reported that camps and hotels which segregate and isolate people seeking refuge do not work. So join our local Community Not Camps campaign. We welcome too the pledge signed by 21 trade unions, including the RMT, Unison, the PCS, Unite, vowing to stand with migrant workers being discriminated against through this government's hostile policies towards migrants and people seeking refuge. These calls have come as a result of renewed commitment to the hostile environment from our Prime Minister, who announced he would increase immigration rates on workplaces by 50% this year and restart data sharing of undocumented migrants and sharing their bank account details. It also comes in the wake of the government announcing draconian new anti-strike laws, which would effectively remove this vital organising tool from tens of thousands of workers. Along with the government's temporary visa scheme, which have been significantly expanded since 2019, these hostile policies put migrant workers at increased risk of abuse and exploitation. So the pledge includes the following: a commitment to resisting this government's hostility and racism by unionising more migrant workers and supporting all our migrant members to advocate to advance their labour rights through the powers of collective bargaining, organising and industrial action. To fight for the rights of undocumented workers who remain at the sharpest end of the workplace precarity and work to secure their ability to unionise. A call to an end to temporary visa schemes which put migrant workers at risk of exploitation and abuse, and instead call for visas which provide workers with stability, flexibility to change employers and the ability to build their new lives in the UK. The pledge is a call to separate between immigration enforcement and labour inspectorates, to protect all workers and ensure anyone can safely report abuse and exploitation. It calls on employers not to assist the Home Office on immigration raids, but I go further. I ask all of our trade union comrades to not assist in these immigration raids in our workplaces, in our communities, because we need to start defending our neighbours. The pledge is a stand against this government's attempts to pit workers against workers and recognise that united we are stronger. The people united will never be defeated.
Yeah.
As a person who survived fascism in Chile, I never thought I would see this level of attack of marginalised people in this country, which welcomed my family. Future generations will look back at this time in the same way that we look back at the Pinochet era and ask, what did you do at this time? Did you stand by and let it happen, or did you resist? Thank you, comrades.